Hi everyone, this is Nadia. I am an occult specialist that uses spiritual intelligence to empower entrepreneurs into a healthy, empowered money story to live a balanced life. Today we're going to be talking about how to heal imposter syndrome in business and of course in life and in love and in every other area, but mainly in business. And what is imposter syndrome and why does it affect people so much? So I'm gonna kick off with a story about an event I went to, and it really made me think twice about this. Like, I always used to hear like people had imposter syndrome, they don't feel like they belong or they fit in, so to speak. So I went for this, I don't know if I could call it like a breakfast or a lunch. I think probably like a brunch. I think it was a brunch. And there was this lady in the city who had, created this really nice brunch, right? So at that time I was celiac and I couldn't eat pancakes, and I was kept eyeing up pancakes. I felt so bad because I used to be intolerant to wheat, but thankfully I can consume it now. So I remember she was, the event organizer was sitting in front of me and she was eating pancakes. Now I was eating like really cool porridge and cereal and like strawberries. It was nice. I still remember it. And we were talking. There was a lady that was sitting next to me and she was sitting opposite me, and I said, you know, it's really nice for all of us ladies to get together and speak about challenges in business, because women's challenges in business are much more different to men, more emotions involved basically. So yeah, it's nice to have support. And we were talking and this other lady was like, oh, I'm just gonna go downstairs and use the ladies, I'll be back. And yeah, the woman out of nowhere, I was speaking with her, the woman out of nowhere was just like, how do you find my event? And I said, you know what, your event is really nice, I'm enjoying myself. There's some really nice people here. A breakfast is really cool. Kind of hope I'll be able to eat the pancakes, and now I can, so yay me. And her face dropped. Her face was super like, I don't feel like I'm doing a good job. And I said, why? I was like, why? I looked around, everyone was like, everyone's happy. I was like, what's wrong? I was just like, and I didn't want to get into her story a lot. Like, I already knew what was wrong, but I just thought, yeah, I'll just pretend that I don't know what's wrong, okay? So she was all like, I don't know if I'm doing a good job, and I just feel like an imposter. And in like the space of like 10 minutes that the other lady went to the bathroom, she goes, oh, can I speak to you outside? And I thought, uh-oh, I don't know what's wrong. Did I say something wrong? So I said, okay, sure, let's step out. And she just said, I need you to tell me I'm doing a good job. And I thought, you are. I was just like, you are, but is everything okay? And I thought, oh, this is really interesting that she decided to open up to me, and she said, well, you don't particularly look like the judgmental type. I didn't know there was a type for being judgmental. I guess that's one of the side effects about being an empath or being clairsentient psychic. You just naturally radiate very calming energy. And I said to her, you're doing a really good job, and I know your husband doesn't believe in what you're doing, and he's kind of just like, yeah, I'll let her get it out of her system, but you know, you're doing so well. And she said, I feel like a fraud, like I'm not making any money from this. And it was like really early days, and I said, some events people don't make any money, they do gatherings. I said events are not easy, and I really have a lot of respect for anybody who assembles people, put it together, because it's such a difficult job to man people, man yourself, man everything. And I said, you know, imposter syndrome is with all of us. How many times have we shown up to sales calls and we don't feel confident inside? And the confidence is more to do with anticipating rejection, okay? So I said to her, you know what, imposter syndrome, we all feel it at one point. People feel it in business, people feel it on a date, people feel like no matter how much they've made or what they have, it's never enough inside. And I said, you know, success is not about the visuals. I know we live in a very funny society where constantly people are hankering for the symbols of success. I wrote this in my last blog, you guys are free to check it out. If you don't have a luxury brand car, and no bueno, people don't want to associate with you because we don't do that. You don't have a big fancy house, yeah. I've heard things personally, you just look at people and you're like, wow. And when you actually look at them and what they're doing, and just There's nothing special. You don't look a certain way, you don't behave a certain way, you don't act a certain way, you don't, as I always say, you don't climb up to the rooftop or the treetops and be like, hi, look at me, I'm successful. Mic drop. Basically, that's what people do over and over again. And I said, that's not what events are. I can tell you that an event being successful is the people, if they keep showing up and you build meaningful, deep and lasting connections with people, and you never know. I said to her, a friend of mine, I still remember, used to go to a BNI event, and these like super early breakfast events, and I really admire people that can go that, because I don't know how you get there in the morning for that time, but yeah. And he was doing realty. He was doing property, real estate, stuff like that. So he went to BNI and he kept going, and yeah, he met his wife there. Like, he would have never thought that, well, I'm gonna go to an event and here I am. And he met a woman and he was interested in her, and obviously he didn't go for that. It's not my point of what I'm saying, but you see, life is mysterious and you really never know what's gonna happen. You never know who you're gonna meet where, why you've gone there. So I said to her, I said, how do you know you might meet your next business partner? You might meet somebody, you might be a connector for someone. I said, we have this notion in life and in society that we're really hard on each other, we're really hard on ourselves. And I said, imposter syndrome feels like no matter what you're doing, you're never good enough. Okay, there's another thing I want to cover with imposter syndrome. You're going to feel imposter syndrome strongly into your intuition and at a deep quantum psychic level if you're not where you need to be. For instance, there are some energies, like some places where it can feel like, okay, maybe I didn't grow up with this. It can be like a very financial issue, so I'll try and cover that first. I didn't grow up with this, so maybe I'm not worthy or deserving of it. That stuff can be rewritten in your DNA. It can be changed through in your heart wall clearings, money wall clearings, blah blah, so on and so forth. But we can rewire that. However, intuitively, you know where you belong and where you don't. And when you're trying to fit yourself into a place where you don't belong, the more connected you are inside within yourself, meaning you listen to your intuition and you don't rush around like a spinning top and the Tasmanian devil because you're trying to avoid and ignore your emotions. Sit with yourself and ask yourself, do I feel peace with this? Do I feel comfortable with this? I have some department stores in London I don't go to. It's not because I can't afford to go there, it's because the type of people that go there are snobbish, they're rude, they're pretentious, they look down on you. And I, interestingly enough, have worked in those department stores, and it was hell because everybody was fake. Everybody, it was just it was image. It's like, oh, I need to look this way. I need to present an image of success because I feel so little inside myself that if I don't look like I'm successful, there's gonna be a problem. That's where imposter syndrome comes from. I remember I used to be working for very big brands such as Yves Saint Laurent, Estee Lauder. I used to cover a lot of beauty, well-being, health, those kind of things when I was younger. And I remember being very ill one day, and I showed up with not full makeup, and I was pulled aside and they were like, look, you need full face of makeup, you need this. And I was just like, you know what, fuck this shit. No, this is not who I am inside. And each day that I went there, I felt a little part of my soul that was dying inside. I was like, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna be invisible to myself. So I chose better, and this is where I am today. And imposter syndrome can hit us at any point. You know, we may be interested romantically in a person and we keep giving ourselves the story, maybe I'm not good enough for this person. Well, how do you know? So you ask them, that's the thing. I remember being on a flight once, and there was this air hostess, and she was, I don't think she was arguing with the child, more like she was trying to push him in the right direction. And he kept saying, I don't like sushi. But have you tried it? No. So how do you know you don't like it? That's the thing. You're only good enough to say that you don't like something if you've tried it and you've run the gauntlet with it and you're like, nah, this ain't for me. And when you do that so many times in your life, then you will get to a point in a space of mental, spiritual, and emotional maturity where you'll be able to look at something and say, no, it's not happening for me because I don't want it to happen. Imposter syndrome can happen with anybody. It's sometimes happened with me, like, am I really qualified to be here? Like, sometimes I know that sounds strange to say for somebody such as myself, but we're all human and we all have things that we are challenged with. And I remember working with a guy in Spartanite, and it's not like he struggled with money. He was very financially successful, and he broke down crying. I felt really sad one day. We were having a call and he just said, I can't keep it up. And I said, the facade, the mask, that's really good that you're crying and you can't keep it up, because you're not supposed to want to keep it up. That's the thing. And I am willing to help, and I'm willing to show you a good way, whether you wish to continue working with me, whether you, because of your ego, don't want to work with me personally, so you just kind of, check in, as I call it, like, ooh, what is she up to on Instagram? Ooh, what is she up to on YouTube? That type of thing. But you're still learning, and I'm still so grateful for everybody that watches my work, because I want to be able to be memorable to every single person in my legacy before I leave this world. And imposter syndrome hits people at very many levels. Like, everybody in society has this fucked up pressure of trying to be something they're not. So I have a friend actually who said this to me, and she said, I wish I could do videos like you. And I said, what do you mean? And it didn't even occur to me. And she's like, I don't know, you just look so confident, you breeze through your videos, it's like you don't have to memorize anything. I said, I don't do scripted videos, I don't memorize things. I get on camera and I state how I really feel inside, and that truth alone will touch somebody's heart. It may not touch the first 100 views, may not touch the first 1,000 views, but I guarantee that there'll be somebody, either a subscriber, either somebody that knows me personally, either someone that keeps up with my work, someone who's found Spartanite online and says, you know what, this is the truth and this speaks to me. Because when you speak the truth, when you come from the truth inside your heart, you don't need to memorize things. The truth doesn't need to be memorized, because it is the truth. And those of us who like the truth, we walk the path of the truth, is very hard. The truth is neither polite and nor is it convenient. So imposter syndrome will constantly be like, just look like you're successful so people think you're successful. And let me tell you, that actually works very well for a lot of people. And that works well for a lot of people because most people are fake, they are pretentious, and they are superficial. And they will never scratch past the surface underneath to find out what's going on. Another event I remember attending, and there was it's a very big event in London actually. I went twice and I ran away. I just couldn't cope with it. I was like, ugh. The first time I went, it was like a little seminar. The second time I went, it was at a bar. I don't, basically, because of my work, I'm teetotal and I choose not to consume alcohol because it would really interfere and mess with what it is I do. And I just felt so alien sitting at this place. It's not because I don't know anything about business, or it's not that I don't have a business. I just didn't know what to say to these people, because a lot of people think that employment is the matrix. No, there are a lot of entrepreneurial people who are still stuck in a very rigid and mundane and worldly way of thinking, where they think because they run a business that they're very awakened. No. So the very first time I went to this place, totally felt like an imposter inside. Not because I didn't feel like I was successful. In my gut, psychically, I knew I should have not been at this place, but of course, the logical mind is funny. We try and, circumvent something. It's like short-circuiting something. It's okay. I've got enough gas in the tank to get me there. Next thing you know, you stop. So there were 3 organizers, and I had heard through the grapevine of one of them. I looked at him, I was like, okay, he's worked on his masculine presence, he's worked on things, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, this guy is not a good man. And by that, I don't mean he's not honorable. He doesn't respect the feminine. He wants to exploit it. So I looked, and he shook my hand, and when he shook my hand, the way he looked at me made me extremely uncomfortable, because he was trying to spark up attraction that wasn't there. If a man does that and there's attraction there on my side, I don't have a problem with that. That's welcomed. But when it's not, and you're trying to force it on somebody, that's exploitation. Okay, so imposter syndrome came from knowing, first of all, that I didn't belong there. And so there was a lady who was sat in the corner, and I went and sat with her, and I said, "Are you okay?" She was really quiet, and I was like, "Hi, I'm Nadia." And she's like, "Hi," I don't remember her name, I think it was Vanessa or something. And I said, "It's nice to see you at this event." And she was sitting in the corner like she didn't know who to talk to, didn't know what to do. So I got her talking, like within 5 minutes, she was just like, yeah, life, that can be pretty hard, right? And I knew that she was going through a divorce, but I just kept my mouth shut and I let her say it first. And she said, yeah, it's really hard for me to socialize with people. I'm like processing a divorce. And I was like, okay, I'm glad I've tuned in correctly. So I kept quiet and I said, I'm really sorry to hear things didn't work out. She's like, oh no, don't be, the guy was abusive. And I said, then I'm happy that, you know, at least you're free of that. But of course, mentally it's going to take you time. And she's just like, why do people not care to talk to people anymore? She asked me that question. And I said, people don't care because they're selfish and they're mean and they come to get something from a place and not give. And their heart's not open. They've just come here. Most people have come here because they're struggling in their jobs. They're 9-to-5 people. They're struggling in their jobs. They're looking for something else. Or even if they're entrepreneurial, they lack real confidence. They lack real empowerment. So she's very sweet. I exchanged numbers with her, blah, blah, this, that. And I said to her, you know what? You can feel like you don't belong over here, and that's fine. And that maybe just be, that's probably old trauma that's talking. Because when trauma has traumatized you so much, you feel like you don't belong anywhere on this planet. And when you start healing and this area, your heart starts opening up again, you will feel and you'll start to get into the flow of things. In business, this is very, very important. I don't do the business that most people do. I don't do the business that I pretend to be something I'm not. I very much just want to be myself so that the right people who also want to and wish to be themselves can find me and can find themselves through our Spartanite work as well. And imposter syndrome is something that's written about a lot. I'm sure there are like a gazillion YouTube videos like, this is how you should just show up and be confident. Sorry, confidence comes from the inside. Confidence comes with courage, and many people can teach courses. Many people can. I was speaking to my mom yesterday, and I said, you know what? So many people can teach about self-love, self-value, self-esteem, self-this, self-that, blah 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 blah. Because mental health is a new trend or something. Most people have no concept what it is to have esteem, to have value, to have love, and to have boundaries for themselves. No one's ever taught us that because, like I have always said in my videos, it comes from your family. If your family hasn't taught you that, good luck trying to learn it for yourself, because you're going to have a lot of hiccups along the way before you get there. One of the most important things I say is that imposter syndrome can be confronted and can be healed and can be made friends with by a very simple notion of finding the courage inside yourself to do the things that you don't want to do or you fear. Even with myself, if there are things that make my heart pound, I'm like, I feel nervous, I don't know how the person's going to react, I don't know what they're going to say. I just push myself and I go do it. And what is she? Is it the Romanian gymnast, the Russian gymnast, Nadia Arain? She says, she shares my name. And she said the best way to address fear is to trample it beneath your feet. And that's very, very true. So, to wrap up in conclusion, imposter syndrome is with everyone. Every single person, including myself, feels it at some degree. I'm not a cut above people. It's not that I'm Spartanite and I don't feel human emotion. I probably feel them more than most people choose to feel. But remember that when we just put ourselves forward and we acknowledge, I am scared, I am nervous, I can be rejected, I can be humiliated, I can have all these things, but I'm still choosing to put myself forward, you'll come to find that life actually opens up and meets you when you stop caring and stop giving a fuck about people's opinions about, well, what will they think of me? Well, this, well, that. Boldness and fearlessness will come from that. Lots of people ask me, the imposter syndrome is caring too much about people's opinions all the time. I'm not saying you have to be selfish. My point, and we've done another previous video on that, but my point of what I'm trying to say over here is that when you are an individual who faces life consistently, business is not an easy gauntlet. It's not an easy gauntlet to run. You have a lot of responsibility when you run a business, you own a business, you are partners in a business, you are constantly waking up to different challenges, different things. It's 2 days are never alike. It's like a snowflake, right? We all have things we struggle with, but the most important thing is to feel that fear, sit with it, meditate with it, ask it, give that fear a name, talk to it. Sometimes that fear's name is grief. Sometimes underneath all the anger, it's just sadness, it's just grief, it's just abandonment, it's just loneliness. There's nothing wrong with feeling that. Irrespective of everything, people in the West are very, very lonely. Everybody is lonely because nobody actually wants to get up. They don't want to tell people they love them. They don't want to tell people they miss them. They don't want to tell people anything. So they're all lonely. They're all pretending to be successful, but inside you're lonely because you've built these 50-foot walls up that who's going to climb them, really? So you have to build. Real confidence comes from your solar plexus, your gut area, your belly area. That's why they say gut feeling, because that's where a lot of psychic ability actually resides, in the third chakra. Being a person that is confident, you can still have imposter syndrome, but over time it will reduce because you will get validation and verification that what you're doing is good. So it's nothing to do with money, it's nothing to do with love, it's to do with the confidence that you have to show up for yourself in this world. It's not showing up for people, it's showing up for yourself. Okay? So I hope that's given you a little bit of my own thoughts on imposter syndrome and how to deal with it. Okay, like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back with another round soon, and if there are any questions you guys have, please feel free to put them in the chat section below, or if you have any work requests, you can do that too. Take care. I hope you have a good day ahead. Bye.